So we're here to talk through this combination of Pentominous and Star Battle by Grant Fikes. It looks like it has an easy start, but since it's a Friday puzzle, it's going to get much harder from here, I'm sure. One thing to really solve for in a style like this is our notation, and I think I'm going to use green for known Pentominoes cells, and just because it's easier to see when I've drawn the edges, I'm going to red for stars, and this first top row has only 3 cells right now that aren't marked in as sure Pentominoes, and stars got to stay separate, so these are required to be the 2 placements for those stars. That now sets up the second row for a similar deduction. 3 cells that are in white, the stars have to be in those that I've just marked in. Coming back to then the Pentomino shapes, we have Y coming down here, and the 4 across isn't going to be left-right, so it's got to be here. Same for the L, the 4 down has to be coming in through that space. This is going to be a part of another pentomino, not part of this L, so the L turns here. That means the Y is going to turn to take this cell, and this last cell is a star. And we'll mark these edges for the L and the Y that we know for sure. This pentomino on the far right doesn't want to be an L if it came to the left, so it's going to be an I and come like so. And in doing that, we can now actually see first that this 8th column is completely filled because the 2 stars are up above, and now we have a space like this that has room for 1 star, a 2nd star, and a 3rd star to be able to get 1, 2, 3, 4 in that row, and there can't be a star in these cells. So this is a helpful moment for this. Let's come back though to looking at this corner where we have 2 P's and say, is it possible that the star is in this cell? And if it's in that cell, then like how does the P get to go? Like one thing we know is this isn't a 2x2 box. So the singleton is right here, and that actually forces for a P to be in the grid this shape. And so this is green, this is the star, that eliminates this and makes this the star. And we have the start of either a U or L coming in here. We've got a pentomino coming over. So this looks like great progress. Let's come back and see if there are other parts of the grid that are somewhat limited. I think this 3rd and 4th row is another example. We have potential star here, and then as we cancel over, we need a star here and a star here. So we get 1, 2, 3, 4 coming across. Those red for sure, mark this in blue. So we've got this set up, and this now again connects back to these pentominoes. How is this P going to go and be valid? It can't come up here, so this has to be an edge. So it does come down 3 cells. We'll shade this off, and then it's going to come either to the left and take these 2 or to the right and take those 2. And if we look at the count of stars, we need 1 star here, 1 star here, and another star here to get 1, 2, 3, 4 in the 6th and 7th column. The P can't go to the right because it would take both of these cells in pink that need to potentially have a star. So this is the next sure pentomino placement of this P. We also then get an F up here and another group coming there. We have 1, 2, and what looks like it's going to be 3, 4 stars coming over to the left with either 1 up top here or 1 up top here. If I'm coming down this column, I see a 3rd and a 4th by marking some of these in. We're trying to identify some more cells we can say something about, and this is sort of tricky, but as we work through these star battles, this is one of the ways we're going to figure out what are the key next steps. Notice in this 5th column, this red star is here, and then the last star is going to be in one of these 3 cells, and that means this cell to the left and to the right, that would eliminate all of these brown cells, can't be used. Similar kind of thinking actually applies over in this 4th column, and this cell, if it were taken, would eliminate too much there. We've now actually made this blue group have to be in the 6th row, so this isn't a usable cell for it. We still, though, have a lot of flexibility down here, so I think there may be a different way to slice this grid that will help us. And so we've looked at the 1st and 2nd columns, but let's look at the 2nd and 3rd columns because we've got both of these cells marked off. So I'm just going to clear these colors for a bit. Obviously, there are overlapping notes that you could be marking, but in the 2nd and 3rd column, I have 1, 2, 3 stars like so, which these places will have to be marked off. One thing to note about that is I have 2 stars that need to be in the second column because none are marked yet. So a cell like this, if it were a star, would cancel here and here and not leave enough space for those. So I can mark off this and mark off this. And that now makes the 7th row and the 9th row pretty interesting. In the 7th row, I have 1 star and need to get 1 more, which has to now be these yellow. So it's in these 2, which means not this, not this. That actually gives us a sure star here. In this space down here for the F row, this 9th row, what we know is that I can't take this cell because it would eliminate both the spots there. Marking this off now means I've got a star in this column with that star in this column. So this is taken, this is a star, this is marked off, this is going to be a star. So I have 1, 2, 3, 4 stars for sure. This has to be marked off. Coming then back to the first and second columns when I had 1, 2, 3, remember I used to have this star available, but just my last option, knowing that a star has to be in the second and third column here, means that this now is a sure star. So we'll mark this in. We then now have that we have 1, 2 here, 1, 2 here, and then an either or here. So there's probably not much more we can do until we go back to the Pentomino thinking. So let's do that right now. And we'll start on this right side where we'd marked off a lot of this space, and in getting these stars in, we actually have a 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 block, which cancels out to here. So if we took this cell, we would have 6 up above, which doesn't work. So this has to be a U with an F. And one, but not both of these cells is going to be in the top. So one way we can really think through this is if we actually did the either or choice, but that's actually reflecting that this is a star. Mark this in and come up. And first say, like, is it possible that the F doesn't use these 2 cells? And if it doesn't use those cells, then notice that both the yellow star here is going to have to fit in, but that means that now an F is going to have to come across. In coming across, it could swipe out all of what's in orange. That's not going to work. And it could also sit with a cell like this, but that means L is going to have to come all the way over here. So some different deductions possible to do this, but the first one I see is that these have to both be part of the F. That means this marks over. The only F that has that shape that still works is this one. So I get this in the grid. That means this is the star, cancels this. This is a star, this is a star, this is a star. L comes here, and if it comes all the way up for its 4, notice we're leaving behind right now 6 green, and we're going to get 2 more 8 green. That's not going to work for count, so this has to come over. And then coming over, it actually forces the star positions. That means there's a pentomino here, pentomino coming up. This closes off and is the Z, and the stars are going to be here and here. We now have a pentomino growing out here that could be an N or a V. We have a pentomino growing here that's going to come down. This cell has to come up to be part of another pentomino that marks off this edge. This is 3, can't be just +1, has to be a V. This has to be an L, and marking in the end, we finish the grid. So pretty challenging puzzle in different respects. It was helped a lot by alternating Pentomino and Star Battle shapes. Hopefully got a feel for when I was doing different sets of rows and columns, like the first and second column, the second and third column, eventually eliminations like finding this was a star, or finding some of the eliminations over on this side. They were very much Star Battle-like thinking, where the 2x2 squares that stars fit into become pretty constrained once you've marked a lot of regions in green, like we were seeing in different parts of the grid. So hopefully some tips and tricks you can take not just to future combos like this, but to Star Battle puzzles and Pentomnos puzzles on their own. Certainly how to think about the shapes as they track together will translate to other grids. So thanks for your attention. We'll see you again soon.